I fucking love coaching. Guys, we got a treat today.
You gonna put some money on this next set?
No. This is what I think I want a big aspect to pull out of is like...
So I went to school with the idea that I wanted to own gyms when I got out.
It's funny because like you see a lot of people who end up being like successful entrepreneurs. It starts young.
You're like eating in front of people that it's not appropriate to eat in front of. You're like, this is embarrassing.
I'd be like 13. I would hustle people on the golf course.
I don't remember what the price was a lot. I offered them what I had, which was less than half what they wanted. And they were like, fuck off, man.
It's gonna be kind of crude, but I think people who aren't early risers are just undisciplined night people.
That's what Luke calls cardio.
Hey, I'm part athlete now. Have you not heard?
Every gym I've ever owned, like I always say, like assholes just don't fit in.
If there's one thing you would tell gym owners, whether it's what you would tell yourself when you started or like the biggest piece of advice you would give to people trying to run any business in the fitness industry, let alone gyms, like what would be that? Guys, we got a treat today. A little bit of a different setup. We're gonna be doing a training podcast today with Greg Mccoy.
Yes, sir.
Super excited to have him on the channel. Owner of the Hidden Gyms located in the Dallas surrounding areas. So we're gonna just kind of dive into a little bit of Greg's story and train a little back and give you a little bit of business insight of what it looks like. You guys have followed a lot of the stuff I've talked on, like building online businesses. There's a lot of different challenges when it comes to brick and mortar. A lot of different overheads, a lot of different things that you have to cover from a margins perspective. So super excited. Greg's a great dude. He's helped us out a lot and a wealth of knowledge. So I'm really excited to train and get after it today.
Usually I'm not out of breath enough when I do podcasts, so this is a good
test.
change. Yeah.
It'll keep you on your toes a little bit. It'll keep you on your toes. Usually you'll like kick back with a chai tea or a coffee or something and relaxing. But let's kind of just start in the beginning, man. Like what brought you to fitness in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I was a multi-sport athlete growing up, like a lot of us. I was probably the best at baseball, but I liked it the least.
Yeah.
Played football. I actually played tennis at a pretty high level.
Okay.
But I always liked training more than I liked the sports themselves.
Okay.
So I liked like getting in the gym and trying to improve and then seeing that play out in sports. And then it just got to the point. What's up, bro? How are you? Good. It got to the point where, I mean, competing was kind of over. Like when I went to college on an academic scholarship.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to play like D1 ball. And that's when I, decided to start bodybuilding because I wanted that. I had that competitive spirit.
Yeah.
But I always loved the training.
It's interesting. A lot of former athletes get into the weight training side in the college. That's where I did it as well.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. But we'll do single arm lat pull down. I like to do like 3 warm-ups.
Okay.
Mainly just because like shoulders, like getting into that fully elevated position. I see a lot of people like ping some things, and I like the kneeling though. So like if you're doing left arm kneeling up against this, even with the split cables, because the split cables aren't wide enough.
Same knee forward as the arm that's up?
Yes.
Okay. Here?
You can do it that way with the split cable. Sometimes what I'll do is like, if you're using this one,
I wasn't paying attention.
If you're using this one,
yeah,
split leg the other way where the left leg's here, but you're doing left arm.
Got it. Wait, so if I'm right arm, come over here?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah. And then get that hip up against the pad if you can. Yeah. What was college studying? Was it always to run gyms, or what was kind of the initial vision?
Yeah, to be honest, my dad was a business owner.
Okay.
And so I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I decided pretty early, probably by 15, latest 16, that that's what I wanted to do. And so I went to school with the idea that I wanted to own gyms when I got out.
Very cool.
Yeah. I kind of used it as like a lot of my school projects were based on gym business models and things like that.
Yeah, very cool.
So
yours was
all
different.
my fraternity brothers think they owe us a stake in this because they were part of the planning phase. Yeah.
In all the projects.
Yep.
You know what? People give fraternities a bad rap, but like,
I learned as much in the frat as I did in college.
I was about to say, it's almost like a trial run of running a business.
Yeah, because I was always in leadership roles in the fraternity, and it's like a lot of the event marketing stuff that I've had success with in business, like that was us throwing parties or doing recruitment events and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, and there's dark sides to fraternities, I think.
Oh,
but
of course.
Like, I think it can teach you a lot if you go into it with the right mindset.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting because like college for me was a bit different. I did engineering originally.
Okay.
And so for me, like, I was coming into college losing my golf scholarships.
Okay.
So
Where'd you grow up?
Mobile,
Okay.
Alabama. So my engineering degree was an ends to a mean. It was originally like, I can make a lot of money being an engineer, and then I can open up my own gym after I get
Okay.
the initial like funding
Yeah.
saved up to do the facility and everything. And then as I got into college, I got good at biomechanics because my research was in football helmet impacts.
Really?
So like I did like concussion rates for the University of Alabama.
Okay.
And their one of their national championship seasons.
You were crunching numbers for Saban.
Crunching numbers for Saban. We were more doing it for the helmet companies.
Okay.
And so we basically just proved that the speed helmet caused more concussions.
Okay.
But I, in my early years of college, learned a lot about running a gym. Like my first job was at a Gold's Gym because I wanted to learn the inner workings of like, what does it take to run a gym?
Yeah.
What does the overhead structure look like?
Yeah.
Like I was working for the experience of learning the ins and outs of gyms.
Yeah.
And then my online stuff just started to get traction.
Sure.
And I realized how little overhead relative to income that there was. And it was like, okay, this is an easy pivot.
For sure.
So that's when I ended up going to grad school for exercise physiology so that I had an intellectual edge over coaches in the industry.
Okay.
And then that's when I started the online business.
Got it. All right.
Did it all. Yeah. So
What year was that?
So 17, I graduated college.
Okay.
I started my business in 2016.
Okay.
I went to grad school in 2018. So I had a off year.
Okay.
Where I just worked and made some money.
Yeah.
Because I don't like debt.
Sure.
Scholarships paid for undergrad, and then that year of working paid for grad school.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So
Smart. Man with a plan.
Yeah. So it's funny because like you see a lot of people who end up being like successful entrepreneurs. It starts young.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty interesting to see. So like, how did the journey to bodybuilding come about? If this was, because I don't imagine college bodybuilding was.
That's where I started.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I grew up in Arlington, so
Okay.
I grew up going to Metroflex, training around Branch and Ronnie. I spent more time we had a great Gold's Gym there.
Yeah.
And I had saved up money when I was like 15, and I hired Quincy Taylor. Do you know the name?
Yeah, I know Quincy.
Quincy was a trainer at Gold's, and so he's the first one that ever took me to Metroflex.
Okay.
And so I got to see that scene, and then I did my first show my freshman year of college. I would like live your normal college lifestyle in the fall semester,
Okay.
and then lock it down in the spring and prep. And so yeah, I
Classic.
competed every year I was in school.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What are you doing rep-wise here?
Whoa. I'm trying to fail between like 10 to 15.
Okay.
So just pick loads according to failing in that kind of target range. This is gonna sound awful. You know what my first way of making money was? I would hustle people on the golf course.
Okay, nice.
I was really good as a kid.
You
But
would
I
like
was-
pretend you didn't know what you're doing?
But I was a kid, right? So like the adults at the course would be like, I'd be like 13. I'd be like, all right, $5 hole, $5 birdies. I'll play from the back tees,
Yeah.
and I'd show them I had the cash forefront, and this would be like a 30-year-old dude, and he'd
Yeah.
be like, easy.
Yeah.
And then I'd make like $50.
That's
Just hustle
awesome.
the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But like I'm a super competitive person, so like I need that adrenaline to push execution. So like I do really well when there's something on the line. And it really helps.
You gonna put some money on this next set?
No. Not while we're talking and training. No. it comes full circle, right? Because like now, and you'll get this, and I'd actually like to hear your opinion on it because it's a little bit more, I don't say more real, but we have a massive team now. And so like, we've got like 25 people that rely on my actions
Sure.
or John's actions, right? Like, it kind of changes how you operate on the day-to-day.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's a good pressure, but it definitely comes with challenges and an added weight
Yeah.
to your decision making.
So walk us through competing. Like how did that develop over the years? And how long did you do it for?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I haven't retired. I'm still holding
Really?
hope that there's more shows.
Really?
It's been 2 years.
Okay.
I've taken breaks before.
Okay, all right.
But I've done probably north of 20 shows.
Because you're doing some like athletic training too, right?
Yeah,
now, right?
I get that's the thing though, is I love so many different types of training that I feel a little claustrophobic with bodybuilding.
Okay, all right.
And then that's also the hard part. Like, the better you are at something, the more specialized you have to be, which is annoying because it's like I'm at that point where you can't really, if I want to progress, I can't really do anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have like, since I knew like competing wasn't in the cards these last couple years, I've been training with some NHL guys and fighters and stuff, like doing some more conditioning work, which is a fun change of pace. I took a break back in 2016 and I did some triathlon and motocross.
Do you find it fits the business lifestyle a bit better? Like being able to run the business and be present than bodybuilding, or do you find it vice versa?
Honestly, I felt bodybuilding fit pretty well until the depths of prep.
Yeah.
It's really just that 6 weeks out of the year that it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Or, off season, like you're busy and you're trying to hammer all this food. You're like eating in front of people that it's not appropriate to eat in front of. You're like, this is embarrassing. It's not like a snack either. You're
it's like a trough.
You have to eat a big ass plate of food in a meeting. It's
yeah.
You mind if I heat this up? Those are the challenges. But I always did pretty well prep and work until that last 6 weeks, 4 weeks. And
I was going to say the structure of bodybuilding, I think, translates to businesses really well.
Oh, for sure.
Again, if you're looking for it in the right way.
Yeah.
Because I use block schedules. I don't know if... So, like, I have very specific time blocks for every task that I do. So my entire calendar day is, like, from the moment I wake up at 5 to 5:30 to the time I go to bed, even if it's family time, is in my calendar.
Yeah, that's good. I've tried that before. I have trouble sticking to it.
To me, it's not about sticking to it. It's about having a set structure to start the day. Mm-hmm. And if I have to pivot, I can pivot the items that are the least important to later in the week.
Yeah.
So it's more like, it's not a guarantee, but it at least starts the day with a vision.
Yeah. I do that with a little bit of
flexibility.
Built-in flexibility.
Yeah.
Time's a great equalizer. We all have the same amount of time. Some people can get a lot out of it. Some people can't. And so it's like how you structure your day, man, is so important. No, like my system, like for that, whatever time I go to bed after 10, I wake up that after 5. So if it's like 10:15, I set the alarm for 5:15.
Okay.
So it's like,
I
do pretty good in 7 hours, but it's kind of like a sliding scale.
7 hours is what it is for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same thing. If it's like 10:15 bad, then in 5:15.
Yeah.
Good. Tuck the elbow a bit more.
Are you naturally early riser, or is like you like this? You have to force it.
This is gonna be kind of crude, but I think people who aren't early risers are just undisciplined night people.
Yeah.
Like there's obviously phenotypes for sleep where you're like biased one direction or the other.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. There's something about like being disciplined with the night routine that sets up the morning in a much better way that I think is productive for anyone.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be 5 o'clock. Like it can be 6:30 for you, but it's still, you need to be productive in those first hours.
Yeah.
Because the more you let items slide to the end of the day, the more likely they're not going to get done.
Sure.
It's like, so you was talking about him filming you.
Yeah.
He came to my house one morning at 4:45 because on Mondays I do a session at home with a golfer that I'm training. And so like we start the session at 5.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's a golfer, so he doesn't prioritize training.
Sure.
I was like, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna train first thing in the morning. I'm gonna see you once a week. I don't train people in person.
Yeah.
I like to have a training partner on Monday mornings.
Oh, okay, he works out with you.
So he comes and works out with me.
Cool.
And I'm like, you're gonna treat this like it's a fucking job because you want to be a professional golfer.
Exactly.
So schedules fascinate me.
Yeah,
Is that 2 or 3 sets? Did we do 2?
Two working.
Two working. Yeah. Okay. What did the process of setting the first hidden gym look like? Was there? It wasn't always just hidden, right?
No. Hidden Gym was a 10-year evolution.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I had we were talking about Metroflex. I was the first licensed Metroflex outside of the original.
Okay. All right.
So I was training there. I had ambitions to open a training studio out of school because that's kind of what I could piece together funding for.
Okay.
And I was just going to make a little studio, train clients myself, and hopefully build that into a gym.
Yeah.
And I was sharing that with Brian Dobson, the owner of Metroflex. And around that time, like, he's got some people trying to help him scale for the first time. And he was, trying to convince me to be the first Metroflex. And, he helped me. We found some equipment, a gym that had closed down, which happens a lot in this industry. I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in a second.
They were sitting on a bunch of equipment, and they wanted, I don't remember what the price was, a lot. I offered them what I had, which was less than half of what they wanted. And they were like, fuck off, man. And then they called me back like a month later, and they're like, hey, because they're paying to store it all. I don't know what they're paying a month, but a lot.
So they're losing money while they're sitting on it.
Yeah, and no one else wanted it. So yeah, I did that, signed a lease in 2008, right when the economy crashed.
Oh, Lord.
But I'm, 22. I don't know the difference between a good economy and a bad economy.
I was in 8th grade.
Yeah. So yeah, that was how Metroflex was born.
So it was Metroflex first.
Yeah, Metroflex first. Did that 2009 to 2013.
Okay.
But in 2011, we honestly had a lot more success, I think, than anyone was anticipating. It was really like, there weren't a lot of cool gyms back then. Like, you see it today, there's like cool gyms everywhere.
Yeah.
Back then it was corporate gyms pretty much only. So to open a cool gym, loud music, have some chalk.
A place people could be serious.
Yeah, I didn't even have good machines, man. Like, it was just a cool vibe. And all the competitors were going there. It's back when Europa still had an open pro. I'd have all the pros out for magazine shoots. The social media didn't really exist. So we kind of had a lot of notoriety real fast. And so my dad was an opportunist. He's like, hey man, this thing's working. How about instead of us paying rent, we build a building? And so him and I went in on a commercial property together.
Okay.
In Plano. And we're kind of piecing it together. And to make all the numbers make sense, I had recruited a couple tenants.
Yeah.
Ultimate Sports Nutrition, which was like, they were kind of the hot shit supplement store at that time. Had a bunch of locations.
Yeah.
And then a retailer of gas and better bodies.
Okay.
A guy named Wade that was here. So he was going to put in his store, supplement store. And then we're all kind of meeting and we're like, we can't call this Metroflex Gas Better Bodies Ultimate Sports Nutrition. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue,
Yeah.
right? So that's when the name Destination was born, because we needed something to call it.
Yeah.
So Destination started as Metroflex Gas Ultimate Sports, and then eventually I ended up leaving Metroflex. Still love Brian and the brand.
Yeah.
But there were some owners getting in trouble, and I'm paying to be a part of this. And then people would fly in and see what we were doing and then cut him a check for a licensing agreement, which I would get none of. And so pretty fast I was like, look,
my work's not getting paid.
Yeah, I wanted to own the brand. I don't think, I'm kind of paying to help build this versus receiving from it.
Yeah.
So that was when I left Metroflex in 2013.
Okay.
Then Destination for 5 years. which we can talk about.
Yeah.
But left there and then started Hidden Gym in 2019. So it was like my first time to own the brand and not have a partner.
Okay. Very cool. Well, let's check out this other piece over here,
Let's do it.
We'll get into that.
10s or what?
Same thing, 10 to 12.
Okay.
I don't really like anything over 12 and
Yep.
chest supported. 8 to 12 is probably a better target.
That's what Luke calls cardio.
Hey, I'm part athlete now. Have you not heard? I'm not bodybuilding anymore, so
Part athlete.
I'm like half athlete, half bodybuilder.
You golf at all, Greg?
I don't.
Oh man,
That could have been the next great.
that could have been the next great podcast.
Or maybe I'm just trying to hustle him.
If you were big in baseball, though, it's basically the same. Just not at all.
Yeah, tennis, I mean, you swing at a ball. How hard can it be?
Is that a little light?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just throw a 10 on and
Cool.
go. This is only a product of the fact that I just went to New Braunfels and did this cave tour. But like caves, when they're washed out, like it narrows as you get down to the bottom. And so I talk about pursuits like kind of like the washing out of a cave. Like the deeper you get into them, the less room you have to budge,
Yep.
right? Like it has to be so precise. And from a health perspective, like 5'9", 260
Sure.
with a daughter
Yeah.
is like not a great place. So
Yeah.
I've stepped away from bodybuilding and they know that. But some of it was business related too. Like,
There
thanks. I started, like obviously I've been coaching since 2016. But in 24, we started J3U coaching,
Yep.
which is the team that works under me and John.
Yep.
And it's been unbelievable. But to do that, like, I think I would have killed myself if I would have tried competing and building that
Yeah.
from scratch up.
Sure.
My point here is that reputation goes a long ways. And I know the pivot into destination is where a lot of my friends know you as the culture builder.
Yeah.
Right? And this is what I think I want a big aspect to pull out of is like, you can't replace a business's culture.
Yep.
Like our culture is high level of coaching, it's a high level of education, and simply put, we win.
Yep.
We won 22 pro cards last year.
Yeah.
Like you don't do that without having something that's working,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, it's not by accident.
It's not by accident, right? So everything's intentional. So like kind of what did that pivot do for you in regards to the culture side and building and learning like what it took to build something that could scale to something that's very noticeable in a market that's very diluted?
Yeah, sure. You know, it doesn't happen by accident, but it kind of did. Like that was the reason we were so successful at Metroflex.
Yeah.
You bring people together, they have common interests, you have an environment that they like to be in, and you treat people good. And we have a culture at every gym I've ever owned. Like I always say, like assholes just don't fit in. Like if you're an asshole here, you're going to be an outlier. You're not going to feel welcomed. And so they drift off, and that's created a real positive community environment for us. And that was from Metroflex, the destination, into Hidden.
How much of it do you put on timing of something? Like you were saying, how you started at the time, whether you did or not, a time where gyms like this weren't popular.
Yeah.
They didn't
Was that a
exist.
thought
Yeah.
whenever you started it, or was that just a...
I mean, I think it was probably just kind of gut instinct to like what I was sensing I wanted as a consumer. Clearly, a lot of other people wanted, because that's why cool gyms have proliferated since then. And the original vision I had, because I trained at a franchise Golds, I was like, they had great equipment, cool place. It was a very sterile environment. Then I go to Metroflex, fucking super great environment. Equipment sucks. And I was like, dude, someone needs to put this together. And that was like always, the vision, right? Of like, let's have good equipment in a cool environment. And that's kind of what you see all over the place now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even more so, like, consumers are so much more educated on equipment choices now. Like,
Oh man. You realize how many people take our AHO course?
yeah,
Like we sell hundreds of those a month.
yeah,
And that's purely biomechanics and
Yeah.
how to apply it to the human body.
yeah,
So you've got hundreds of people going through a biomechanics course when 10 years ago, if you said the word biomechanics, like no one.
yeah. a handful of good trainers would know what that meant. Most people
wouldn't.
They might think you're working on cars.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think one of the big things to pull out here is like, it's a people first mentality. I know like a lot of business coaching and business promotion becomes, I can make you 10 grand this month starting from scratch, or our ads generated an extra $20,000. And marketing is an aspect of business, which I'm sure we'll get into, but I think a people first mentality is what precedes most great businesses, and starting with a foundation that supports kind of the growth to the top, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like you need that foundation of sustainability to reach that top of like self-actualization.
Yep.
I think businesses are very similar. This is where I want to get into like gym culture of like the gym industry as a whole.
Yeah.
Because margins are tight.
Yeah.
So like I don't want to say what was it, but I more want to see like the differentiating factor was that combination for you, but you have to be able to sustain that. So where did your head start to go from the business side of like, how do I keep overhead in a place where it's not overriding my membership and my profit margin, and some of these thoughts of how do I actually create a model that's sustainable?
Yeah.
Because your original hidden gym location when you pivoted was Allen, right?
Yep.
And then that's now built into 3 with the private one downtown, right?
Yep.
You don't do that without knowing the back end.
Yeah.
I know that. Like you don't scale without knowing all the back end numbers. So like what are the pitfalls like in this industry? Because I don't own brick and mortar.
Yeah.
I own online.
Yeah.
So I'm paying for softwares and people who can do jobs, but I'm not paying for this.
A couple comments. Honestly, if you're thinking about starting a gym, this hopefully makes you feel better, but I honestly didn't think about any of that the first 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Like at Metroflex, we were just like, hate to say it, but kind of cool enough to get away with it. And it was so unique that it's like, we're just kind of being successful.
Yeah.
And I was like kind of doing online coaching before online coaching was like a thing. And so it's just like, money wasn't like a problem because we were doing well.
Yeah, yeah.
And then at Destination, you know, we opened the gym, but pretty quick, like I was a minority owner of Gasp and Better Bodies for a while.
Okay.
And very quickly the focus shifted from the gym business to the apparel business, with the gym being a content studio for the apparel.
Right.
And so I kind of spent a lot of that 5-year period like just dabbling in the gym business.
Okay.
And I was focused on other stuff. It's really with Hidden did I like hone my skills as an operator.
Okay.
But that to say, to answer your question, I think one of the biggest pitfalls is overhead.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's not to sound arrogant, but part of the genius baked into this brand, because we named it Hidden because it's hard to find. Stuff that's hard to find is a lot cheaper to rent. So we decided to make light of the fact that we're off the beaten path.
Yeah, yeah.
As opposed to being like, it's being like embarrassed that it's hard to find. We're like, no, let's just fucking own it.
It's genius branding.
And so that was part of, there's a lot that goes into the branding, but that was a big part of it that's kind of cooked into the business plan. It's like, look, we're going to be in a B location, and that'll keep our overhead to a point that
it's low.
Yeah, that we can, operate with some profit without having to do some crazy.
See, but the thing is, when you walk in, you don't feel like you're in an off-beaten location.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Like you can look around this facility. I love the Allen facility, like massive.
Yeah.
And like you have great equipment here. You've got Prime, you've got Arsenal, you've got some, see the Cybex squat press over there. But man, Allen.
But that's why we named it, because it's like you go to 2 double doors in the back of a shopping center, and you don't expect to walk in and be like, oh shit, this is a legit
this is a
place.
gym.
Yeah.
This is a gym, yeah. But it just kind of comes back to culture, right?
Yeah.
Because then that word of mouth spreads quick.
Yeah.
Right? And you're treating people as humans, not as a dollar sign, right?
Yeah.
You create a facility for them to be successful, and then like you said, like if you're an asshole, you get out.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of it. I know with the overhead, like there's like predictive models that help you with knowing when to go from 1 gym to 2 gyms. And it's kind of similar in online coaching. You can kind of predict when it's time to go from 1 coach to 2 coach to 3 coach to 4, that kind of a deal.
Yep.
Depending on like rate of acquisition, cost of acquisition. But when you get off here, because breathing on a chest supported T-bar is not the greatest, What was that sign of like, hey, it can't just be the Allen location?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's ambition.
Yeah.
Like we knew we wanted to expand, so I was always eyeing, just waiting for it to like, when are we going to be in the place to do it? Then a little bit opportunistic, like I was saying earlier, like a lot of gyms fail.
Yeah.
I acquired the Den, which became Hidden Gym. I acquired this place, used to be called Monster Fitness and Bodybuilding. So
yeah,
when you're in a place where you're either ready or almost ready, that's when I start to shop, send out letters. You know, some people are waiting for a letter in the mail to be like, oh, someone would take this off my hands? Like, it might be the best thing ever happened to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but with Allen, like, we were on such a hot streak, and we really figured out, finally, in-house personal training.
It's a hard one.
It is. I failed twice at it over the years, but we kind of finally found the formula that was working, and we were honestly at this point where it's like the only way to grow much faster is to get another one. It's like we can make these marginal increases, but it's kind of like when you have a team and they're all on this upward trajectory and you're realizing there's not much more room to go, they aren't that motivated. Like I needed like a big, like, hey guys, here we're going next. And it's like, you need that new frontier to have like the most ambitious people on your team.
It's the risk, right?
Yeah.
It's the risk that drives the action.
Yeah.
We were joking earlier, like I just sunk a shit ton of money in J3 coaching, right? But immediately paid back in the next month post implementation, you hit a record month.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like when you have the right, and this is what I want to talk about before we get more into the gym scaling, but the people in the business. Hiring is, I don't want to say impossible, but it's miserable.
Yeah.
Like, people don't treat your brand with the same integrity and desire to have it a high standard as you, unless you bake that into them.
Yep.
And so, like, when you screen for people to join the Hidden community, because I believe that's why you just added a board member, right?
We have an advisory board.
Okay.
Yeah, that we've been adding people on.
Okay. Do you have someone that's responsible for the HR process of hiring, or are you still doing that?
I'm involved in it, but I've got managers over different departments per se.
Okay.
And they are like in the lead there.
Okay.
And then, I mean, I help. We're always tweaking the process.
Yeah, you always are.
So I'm pretty involved in it still.
So what's the training process of those managers to like make sure they pick the right people? Because in the beginning, you're doing it, let's be honest. Like, until you start offloading tasks, like you're doing the hiring.
Yeah.
Like, what are the key things you look for in that hiring process? Because it can be kind of messy.
I mean, we hire more for basically under the impression that we can teach them what they need to know. Like, as long as they show, like, they're bright, they've proven on their resume that they can either make good grades or hold down a job.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not too worried about, like, we really don't recruit people from the gym industry that often.
Okay.
Like, I rather than not have bad habits. I'd rather them be fresh.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that they're honest. I want to make sure that they're cool and they're going to fit in with the culture and the team. And so it's more so like questions and situations we put in them to make sure they're like a cultural fit. And then we assume we can teach them the skills.
So do you test them pre-hire, post-hire?
Mainly pre.
Yeah, so I was going to say I do that too.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've even gone as far as, like, there's 3 people going for this one spot. You've each got this task.
Yeah.
Show me who can do it the best.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah.
And, man, you talk about
Some Hunger Games shit.
Hunger Games.
Me with my editors.
I'm not going to lie. I did this to Dylan a little bit. I had other people already hired.
Yeah.
And he just came on full-time this month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I did this to Dylan.
Yeah.
But I've found a diamond in the rough, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've done this with a few videographers before Dylan.
Yeah.
And they just didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, like, if you're going to make this right now, but if you show me you're good and you want to push our vision forward, you could make this.
Yeah.
Because I've got all of this work for you.
Sure.
No one just steps up. So it's interesting that you test pre-hire because some people don't.
And that, honestly, when you do that, like, usually most candidates rule themselves out.
Yeah.
You don't really, it's not a hard decision because they take care of it for you.
They take care of it for you. That's why I do it.
Very rarely And sometimes it's more of a fact of like, damn, they all ruled themselves out. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, well, I guess we're like, you know, you kind of always have to be recruiting.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. I love it. It's on a lat row. I was trying to avoid cable, but it looks like that's kind of what we're stuck with. Because I was
Do you
going to
like
do it
this
here.
guy at all?
Oh, I forgot you had this. Yeah, let's do this.
Okay. It's like single arm step back.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. I think we just go.
Go 3.
I'm warm.
Okay.
3 or 3.25, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, 3's pretty easy.
Yeah. You don't have to divulge this if you don't want, but what's like the long-term vision with Hidden? Is it build and sell? Is it scale and keep within the family, or kind of what's the thought?
I don't honestly know. You know, that's probably not the best, but I can only see.
It's okay.
No, I want to get us to 6 locations
Okay.
in this area, and then I think there's options.
Yeah.
I have requests, you know, probably quarterly, maybe monthly, on people that would like to open a Hidden.
Okay.
So, but our model isn't dialed enough to give it to someone else yet, and I don't want our first kind of franchises to fail.
Franchises
So,
are tough.
yeah, so I have that as an option. You know, maybe get it to a point. You know, I kind of go off my age. Like, will I be the same guy that like eats, breathes, and sleeps the gym at 45? I don't know. I might want to sell and do something else at that point.
Yeah.
You know, that's 7 years away, so that's not that far.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's to be determined.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, like I ask that question usually because I'm kind of the opinion of whether you want to keep or sell.
Yeah.
You've got to build a business that is sellable.
Yeah.
Because it's what makes a business successful.
Yeah.
Right? And there's like different aspects of, not saying this from someone who's sold businesses, but who's been mentored by people who have sold businesses. Like there's aspects of that are different depending on your model. But I know like some of the kind of the biggest hangups with scaling is sometimes your margins get tighter.
Yeah.
Have you seen that happen already with multiple locations, or?
Honestly, that's been more of the fun part of scaling, and I think it'll only get better as we grow. Is like, and that's why I picked the proximities that we do.
Okay.
Because instead of having a manager at each location, I can have a regional manager. So my management cost just went down 50%.
That's great.
I can drop $1 of marketing in Plano or Richardson, and it helped both gyms. So you can see that as $1 gets you twice as much, or you can spend $2. You can double your marketing budget.
Yeah.
However you want to look at that.
So I teed this up on purpose.
He's a chess man.
I asked this because like we just had the hiring conversation.
Yeah.
You've got the vision conversation, and I think you can't have those two separately. They have to be together.
For sure.
Because when you hire people who are devoted to what you want to do, they'll go beyond their job title.
Yep.
And I'm actually more of an advocate of paying a little bit more
Always.
for a higher quality candidate who will do higher quality work than paying a little bit less for someone who's less quality.
100%.
So like when you plug someone into that development role, do you have a built out vision for how they can scale their role? Or is it more so kind of based on how the first 6 months work for them? Or what does the development process for people who work under you look like is more the question I'm getting to.
I think it's both. Like a lot, you know, I'll start with a plan and lay out what their role can become.
Yeah.
And then obviously it changes based on what they're good at, what they enjoy. Sometimes the area they started in, they find that they're better or like better a different part of the work. So it's kind of both, to be honest.
Okay. Would you say this is a strength of yours in the business, or is it something that you purposely hired out for because you think someone else does it better?
Man, that's been definitely one of the harder parts, and I think a lot of, I'm sure for you as well.
It's
but
the same thing for me.
Releasing control is difficult.
So hard.
And it's especially when you really love what you do. It's not, some stuff I don't get rid of because I like doing it, and you have to realize like I shouldn't, even though I like it. And then sometimes you're like, fuck it, I own my company, I'll do what I want to do.
That's why you built it in the first place, right?
Yeah.
I struggle with this on the coaching side because I fucking love coaching.
Yeah. How much coaching are you doing?
Not much anymore.
Yeah.
I've got I have 660 clients in the business.
Yeah.
And I coach 40, and that's not including mine. So that's 660 in the team.
Yeah.
So that doesn't include my clients or John's clients.
Yeah.
So you're looking at over 700 between me and John's added. I've coached as high as 150 before.
Okay.
By myself.
Yeah.
I probably coach 45 now.
Yeah.
And I do it just because I love it.
Yeah, sure.
I like, as X and O of a person as I am, like very type A, very like numbers oriented, the engineering side of me. I love athlete development.
Yeah.
Like taking someone and molding them into what they could be.
Sure.
Is the most enjoyable aspect of my day.
Yeah.
But to get to where I want to go impact-wise,
Yep, sure.
I can't keep doing that.
No.
Because my person molding has to be the coaches
Yeah.
that work under me and the people who are handling the different aspects of our business, like content. Like, I suck at content.
Yeah.
But I'm good at vision.
Yeah.
And branding.
Yeah.
So I need to be able to verbalize what I see to Dylan and say, hey, just go do it.
Yeah.
So that's been the last 2 years I've learned a lot in that aspect of the skill, trying to find the right words for this, the skill for training people to create your vision.
Yeah.
While still allowing them the creative freedom to do it how they see fit.
Tell me if this resonates. I found one of the harder parts, but also one of the most worthwhile things is giving them enough room to make mistakes.
Yes, yes.
Because if you either A, give them the answer before they mess it up, or you're there to fix it super right after. Like, I learned almost everything I know through trial and error and adversity.
Same.
If they don't have any adversity, you're gonna have like lame leaders.
Super lame.
And so I realized, like, I'm not speeding it up by fixing these things. I need to like let them do it, mess it up, advise them on how to fix it, but make them do it, right? And then they own it. So, but that's really difficult.
So hard.
And it feels slower, but you have to like
it
let
makes
that
you
play
faster
out.
long term.
For sure.
Because then the same mistakes don't happen. Dylan's probably like laughing over here because I threw him in the deep end this month.
Did you?
So I was like, hey, I'm hiring you for full time. He's like, okay, what's that look like? And I sent him like the workload across both businesses because he's doing both businesses.
Okay.
And he was like, oh shit. I was like, can you do this? He's like, yes. I've got people I'm hiring to help me. I can do this.
Yeah.
But I'm like, look, man, I don't want this to be I don't expect this to be perfect.
Sure.
Just get it done.
Yeah.
And we'll iterate.
Yeah.
And we'll iterate. And then we'll iterate. And we'll get better at doing it.
And that's it exactly, because I always tell people, like, I'm not going to fire you for messing up the first time.
The first time.
You do the same thing 3 times in a row, like, yeah, you might lose your job. But, like, if you're trying hard and you had the right intentions and all that, like, can't say there's never a situation, but I have not run into a situation where I let somebody go because of that.
Right. Yeah. Same.
Notion plug.
I did not. It was not love at true sight.
Use code Luke10.
I wish. Notion. I need a discount code here to promote this. But so we have a person on our team named Abby, and she's great. She's so organized. She like pushed one of our owners to implement Notion.
Okay.
So we implemented it, and John and I were like, "Fuck this! This is awful. The user experience is miserable at first.
Yeah.
But when you learn it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so easy.
Yeah.
And so like, it's changed my life. Like I can get like 2 or 3 extra tasks done in a day simply because it's so streamlined. Because you can build workflows. For those of you that are project management people, like, what is the engineering project management software? You can build out timelines across like multiple months with tasks across that time frame. And so you just kind of tick through it on each week. And we're getting stuff done at half the time we used to.
Wow.
So like Notion's been a game changer, but it's also a product of the amount of people we have working for us. Because like to keep that many people on the same page, they need to be able to go in there, see the tasks, and just do it without contacting me.
Yeah.
Because then if they're constantly contacting me and you multiply that by everyone we have in the business, I'm on my phone all day. I'm not working.
Yeah.
So people give me crap. I don't know if you're like this, but I am. My phone currently has
90 unread messages?
240.
I'm the same. Because
Let's
I leave them unread so that I can remember to go back for them.
Oh, I'm down. I'm 157 now.
Yeah.
But it's just because like I'm working.
Yeah.
And if I skim it and I see like this is not a right now thing, I just don't answer it.
Have you read Deep Work?
I have.
Yeah. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Because if you just handle all that stuff as it comes in, you never get into the actual like flow state of like
Working.
doing like real stuff like, you know, that pushes you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's me in the mornings. Like that's when I do my hardest stuff.
Your deep work.
Yeah.
I'm the same. That's why I get up so early.
Yeah, same.
We'll load this and then in the right places. We'll load this in the right places.
Rack your weight, Luke.
No, my problem's not racking the weight. It's checking the little things here to know that this is the 45 and this is the 25. I always unrack it. It's just sometimes goes in the wrong spot. All right, so we'll kind of start to wrap this conversation out because we've got a lot out of it. But if there's one thing you would tell gym owners, whether it's what you would tell yourself when you started or like the biggest piece of advice you would give to people trying to run any business in the fitness industry, let alone gyms, like what would be that key thing?
It's so hard to key in on one. I mean, like, if I was giving myself advice, like I've always kind of had a knack for the marketing and leadership side of things.
Right.
Like that's where my more natural abilities and interests were. I've had a harder time on the financial side.
Okay.
So like, I think you have to have a good assessment of yourself. And it's so hard, like as a growing business owner, you have to be like so freaking well-rounded. Like I got to be good at marketing, good at employing, knowing machines. I got to know fitness. Like you got to know a lot of stuff, and you can't be super good at all of it, but know your weak points.
It'd be dangerous. In all of them at least.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like I come from a single mom who was an accountant.
Okay.
So finances for me is like,
yeah,
it's like I get it.
Yeah, that's a great background.
I'm a finance guy. Where I lose my finance edge is I sometimes let my passion get in the way of remembering that we've got to monetize.
Yeah. Been there.
So like,
it's more about like what you can do versus making money.
Yeah. It's like to me, like the difference between 1 million and 2 million doesn't make much of a difference to me.
Yeah.
But then when I think about it down the chain, the difference of 1 million to 2 million for the people who work under me is massive.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones generating that, and they're the ones making more off the back of generating that.
I've had to really say polish. I'm like naturally a risk taker, which you kind of have to be.
Yeah, you have to be.
But like, dude, I'll gamble in a second.
I am too.
Like, I won't math it out all the way, but I'm like just instinct. Like my gut says, let's do this.
Yeah.
And that's worked out most of the time. Luckily, I'm still here, right?
But you make some expensive mistakes.
So I've had to hone in the risk.
This is what I was telling you earlier about like, you know, if you think about it, like let's say you dump in like 50K into the business, right? What's a 50K expense if you skip making those mistakes and make 150 on the back end?
Yep.
Right? Because then your return on that spend is unbelievable, right? You just 3x'd your spend, and so you've got like 100K profit off of 50 grand in spend. So like, I'm a little bit more like, when it comes to that, I need to make sure that I'm going to avoid doing that.
Yep.
Because I'll take the risks, but I need to know like information on the forefront.
Yep.
And
you have to check that stuff because like, I mean, I'm kind of like, I love coaching because I love learning.
Yeah.
I've definitely paid for like 2 master's degrees at this point with the amount of like coaching I've done. But like, you have to kind of like, now what I do is like, all right, if I'm going to engage with someone, how do I make a return on this and how do I check it? Because it holds me accountable to follow the advice, because it's like, okay, I spent X, I need to make 2X of this or it wasn't worth it. Am I going to hit these targets?
Well, it's like when you said yes to this, I was like stoked because your time's valuable, right? But like, this is stuff that people don't realize. Like
Sure.
people, you have 3 gym locations. Like you don't do that by accident.
Yep.
So much to learn there. So kind of the last question of the day while we wrap this up is, I like books.
Yeah, me too.
If you had 3 books that you could only read for the rest of your life that you want the audience to read, what would it be and why?
First one's easy. The Alchemist.
Okay, yeah.
I've gifted
great
that book to probably no less than 25 people.
Holy.
My favorite book to give to high school seniors.
Yeah.
Which we have a lot of like young guys at the gym, so some of them may be watching this. They've had to read Paul Coelho because of me. But yeah, it's about like, you know, your journey and following your heart and the clues that happen along the way. So that's the first one. I'm a big Good to Great fan.
Okay.
Jim Collins.
Haven't read that.
Okay. That's a staple. You know, probably I like, there's a lot of business books I like, but that one stands out to me. I read it a long time ago and I've gone through it a couple times.
Okay.
The third one.
It's tough. That's why I do 3 though.
Honestly, I'm kind of blanking on the name. It's Tony Dungy, biography.
Okay.
It's a leadership book. It's his first. He's got a series of books. It's the first one. The name will come to me, but I think I learned because Tony Dungy is kind of an outlier of a football coach, right?
Yeah.
Quiet guy, respectful. I'm more of a Tony Dungy than I'm a Jimmy Johnson, yell in your face because to get it right. So I really learned a lot through that, and we have a lot of values that align, like faith-based and
yeah, that's great.
I'm trying to think of the name of it.
It's okay.
Tony Dungy's first book.
Okay. Yeah.
It's in my top 3 and I don't know the name of it.
It's okay, but I mean, it's important, like, because the whys are probably the big thing there,
Yeah.
right? It's like you're taking someone who's been a successful leader,
Yeah.
and you're drawing out the aspects of the leading from that perspective. So that's great. I love it. So,
What about you?
oh,
Uh-oh.
I'm an
Yep.
obstacle is the way is my
Great one.
favorite
Love
book
that one.
of all time.
Ryan Holiday?
That Ryan Holiday series, like I'll give them to clients all the time.
Is it I gift Discipline is Destiny?
That's the other one.
So
I was gonna say
good,
I
dude.
give them obstacles the way first,
Yeah.
and then discipline is destiny second.
Yeah.
So that's my number 1, and I'd probably say that's an author
Yeah.
because there's not much that he puts out that I haven't read that
Yeah.
I haven't learned from. Which is an interesting one because as a risk taker, you're probably a little bit more willing to go through the obstacles.
Yeah.
But I find that most people are like the person in the cave where they chip to a point.
Just short.
Just short.
Yeah.
Just short. And it's like you just have to make it through that last inch of the cave wall.
Yep.
I've used a lot of cave metaphors today, so I won't always do this.
Batman over here.
Obstacles the way is number 1. Number 2 would probably Atomic Habits.
Great.
I'm, like I said, block schedule big on
Yeah.
keeping that daily consistency
Yeah.
up. 3. Anti-fragility would be the last
Okay,
one.
I haven't read that one.
So anti-fragility is about for people who operate in structures, it's really hard for those types of people to pivot when it's an unideal situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the way he talks about it is building a business that can pivot no matter the given situation and environment.
Mm-hmm.
So he's talking about being anti-fragile is if you have you think of a sheet of glass, it's very fragile. If you drop it, it's going to shatter. It's not going to be workable anymore.
Yep.
You want a piece of glass that would be able to be dropped, not shatter, and still work. You want to build a business that can do the same thing. So I learned so much about business is not always about building the perfect business. It's about building something that can sustain ups and downs so that even if you are in the red, you're not so far in the red that you have to shut down your business.
Yep.
It brought in some ways that I thought about business completely opposite. It was actually the year that I 10x my business. So I went from making $40K coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You can multiply by that 10
Yep.
and know what I made that year.
Yep.
So that book's got a special place in my heart. It's a little abstract, so I don't recommend it to a lot of people because they're not going to get it.
Sure.
But man, you can learn so much from it.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting you to ask that back.
Yeah. It's a good answer.
It's a good challenge. Greg, thank you so much.
You're welcome, man.
This has been fantastic.
Yeah.
if you're in the Dallas area, check out Hidden Gym. I love coming to these places. We're at the Richard location right now. He's got the one up in Allen that's my favorite.
Okay.
But man, it's a great place to be, a great environment. It's clean. You got all the equipment you need. He's done a great job building these locations. Anything else you want to say to them?
Yeah, we got day passes on the website. You guys are a friend of Luke's, you're a friend of ours, so come on by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks again, guys. Make sure you like the video. If you have any questions for myself or Greg, make sure you put them in the comments below, and we'll see you in the gym next time.